Hi, and welcome to the International Young Prophets. I'm so excited again to have Dr. Melodye Hilton here with us. We are on chapter 3 of her Higher Living Leadership book, and I'm so excited to just be here talking over your book. And like I said, it's probably one of the best leadership books I've read, so please make sure to get it, Amazon.com. And let's talk about signature of value. In this book, you really get into talking about value and into the value really is woven into, you say on it, the tapestry of uniqueness, personality, skills, passion, and motivation. So what is a signature of value?
Simply, that is a scientific term from a science called axiogenics. Okay. And axiogenics is the mind-brain science of value generation. It's woven into the human brain. It's not found in animals. And so that signature of value, it's almost like if you would take an artist painting. Okay. And you would write a signature on it. Wow. And so that signature is the one who created the painting. And so simply, according to axiogenics, there's a signature written upon our brain of value. Really? Okay. And that's where it shows us to value ourselves and value others, and to have the systems and structures in place that empower what we do and ultimately bring value to individuals. And so the signature of value is simply the scientific term that shows that we were created to be valued. We were created to value others. And as long as we walk in that, it releases emotional health. It releases the creativity on the inside of us. And so if we violate the signature of value, we will emotionally suffer.
Wow. So just from my knowledge of this, and many out there, so God marks everyone uniquely for their calling in the earth. So is that like, can you explain a little bit about that? Am I missing?
That is not the signature of value according to science, okay. But let's say our Creator has written His signature on us. Yeah. And this is who I created you to be. This is what I created you to do. This is the influence you're going to have on the earth. Ephesians 1:4 says, God chose us in Him before the foundations of the world. So before God created the sun, the moon, the stars, He planned you, He purposed you. Your life is not a mistake. Your life is not an accident. Whether your mother and father planned you or not, it makes no difference, because God planned you to be born at this time in history with a specific purpose. And so when I talk about the signature of value in a Christian setting, I call it the signature of the divine. Wow. Because my God has written His signature upon my heart, so I would discover my expression upon the earth.
Wow, I love that. Okay, and when we talk about that, you have the signature value. How, when you have shame in your life or those negative emotions, how does it affect the signature value?
Well, really, shame is a false identity. And when I walk in a false identity, then I walk in fear, which is a false reality. And then I walk in self-protective control, which is false actions. Wow. So whenever we do not see ourselves through the grid of the signature of the divine or the signature of value, then we do not see our worth. We do not see what God's placed inside of us. We walk in fear, and then our actions are contrary to what God has ordained for our lives and ordained for our relationships. So many people, out of shame, will look to someone else to take away that shame. Wow. Or to look to someone else to bring that sense of worth. And it's never going to come from another human being. I've been married for 42 years. It's never come from my husband, and he's an amazing husband. My identity is found in God. It's not found in another human being. And when I can get this right here, I will get it right here. Wow. And so it's so important for us to recognize the power that shame has to sabotage the very passions of our heart.
So when you're talking about shame, how does someone even like say, hey, I have shame? How do I start to kind of walk out of that?
Well, it is truth, because shame comes in through a lie. Every lie I believe about myself will produce a false reality, and it's going to produce a false identity. and which is shame and fear. So I walk out of it by recognizing what are the lies. I'm very big on self-assessment, and I believe we'll talk about that in another episode. But when I am able to process my thoughts and say, is this based upon truth or is this based upon a lie? If I believe a lie, it'll produce shame, a false identity. It'll produce fear, a false reality, and ultimately false actions. And so when we know the truth makes us free.
Yeah. So some practical things are like maybe get in the Bible and find out what truth is about ourselves. And so get into that.
That's the power of the prophetic. It's not just saying, look, I'm able to hear the voice of God. No, the power of the prophetic is be able to see that signature of the divine, be able to see that purpose, see that potential, see that value, see that worth. And really, simplicity of prophecy is edification, exhortation, and comfort. It's to build someone up so they can see what God placed on the inside of them to dismantle the lies and release them into purpose.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about, I know in this chapter you talk about extrinsic value. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, extrinsic value is simply what I bring to the table. See, there's intrinsic value because I am valuable as a human being. Who I am as Melodye Hilton, who you are as Elizabeth, you are intrinsically valuable. But guess what? You hold extrinsic value. That's what you bring to the table. That's your skills. That's your abilities. That's your giftings. That's your anointings. That's how you impact your world. That's what you contribute to your world. And so when I can celebrate my extrinsic value, when I can love my part of the team, when I can love what God put inside of me. Because see, if we don't see our extrinsic value or our intrinsic value, we'll start comparing ourselves one with another. And the moment we compare ourselves with others, we will do one of two things. We either will see ourselves better than others, which is pride, which is really mass shame. People who walk in pride are really shameful. Or we will see ourselves in shame, embarrassment, feeling less than someone else. So we've got to get rid of comparison so we don't walk in shame or pride. We don't walk in judging others and gossip and trying to exalt ourselves above others and focus on all these crazy things that happen in business and government and ministry. You know, we won't walk in those things because we see our extrinsic value. So I'm not going to try to be like you, and you don't have to try to be like me. I just need to be a pure expression of who God created me to be. That's extrinsic value.
Wow, I love that. I know we're closing off now, but before we close off, let's talk about, why are people drawn to people that are carriers of hope?
Well, when you want to be healed, you want to hang around people who are healed. When you need hope, you want people that have hope. When you want to know truth, you're going to get around a teacher. When you want to hear what God has to say about you, you're going to want to get around a prophet, And so people are drawn to carriers of hope because we become contagious. Wow. And if we're going to be contagious, let's be contagious to help people to discover what manner of man or woman they are. People are going to be drawn to us when we genuinely value them intrinsically and extrinsically. And systemically, we set the systems and the structures to empower them to be successful.
Wow, we've had such a good time here today on chapter 3 of Signature of Value. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Melodye. We look forward to seeing you next show.